talks with North Korea may well be a very real possibility after the exchange of letters between President Trump and Kim Jong-un. A body blow for Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan suffers the biggest loss of his political career as his candidate for Istanbul mayor concedes defeat in a repeat election. Plus, a stricter drink-drive limit comes into force across South Korea from Tuesday. On top of that, drivers caught over the limit will face much tougher punishments. So we start with the latest exchange of letters between the leaders of North Korea and the United States, who are steadily becoming pen pals of sorts. This time, it was President Trump's turn to write to Kim Jong-un with photos of Kim reading the letter revealed by the regime's state media. With the White House later confirming the letter was sent, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said there's a high possibility the two leaders will meet for a third time. Lee Seung-jae starts us off.
Before boarding a flight bound for the Middle East on Sunday, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said Washington is ready to resume talks with North Korea immediately. Speaking to reporters about the letter President Trump sent to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, Pompeo said he was hopeful the latest exchange will provide a good foundation for the two sides to restart talks.
And then last night there was reporting about a letter that was sent from President Trump to Chairman Kim. I can confirm that that letter was in fact sent, and I'm hopeful that this will provide a good foundation for us to begin to continue these important discussions with the North Koreans to denuclearize the peninsula.
North Korea's state-run Korean Central News Agency confirmed receipt of the letter earlier, saying Kim described the letter as being of excellent content, but did not disclose any details about the message. The report added Kim would seriously contemplate the interesting content. The White House confirmed the letter on Sunday, saying President Trump had sent the letter days before he leaves for a trip to Japan and South Korea. The White House added correspondence between the two leaders has been ongoing. Asked if working-level discussions between the two countries will begin soon, Pompeo said reports coming out of North Korea suggest there's a good possibility. He added the U.S. is ready to go and is just waiting for Pyongyang to give the green light. Pompeo did not discuss the contents of President Trump's letter, but said Washington has been working to lay foundations for more discussions since the second North Korea-U.S. summit in Hanoi ended abruptly in February. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Now, it's being billed by experts and North Korea watchers as one of the most important weeks for North Korean nuclear diplomacy in quite some time. Sitting at a crossroads in the stalled negotiations, the next several days could really make or break efforts to get the denuclearization process back on track, with a whole slew of diplomatic events and summits coming thick and fast. Lee Min-sun reports.
With Chinese President Xi Jinping's recent visit to North Korea and the exchange of letters between the leaders of the U.S. and North Korea, there's rising expectation denuclearization negotiations are on the brink of restarting. Major countries involved with the denuclearization of North Korea have a packed diplomatic schedule this week. And many watchers believe the next several days are likely to be a turning point for negotiations that have been in limbo for months. The U.S. Special Representative for North Korea, Stephen Biegun, is scheduled to visit South Korea toward the middle of this week. His visit is mainly to prepare for the South Korea-U.S. summit that will take place right after this weekend's G20 summit in Osaka. But Biegun is also likely to work on establishing working-level talks between Pyongyang and Washington and may even contact North Korea during his stay in Seoul. Later this week, a series of summits are lined up between the U.S., China, and South Korea at the G20 summit, which runs for 2 days from Friday. Chinese President Xi Jinping will sit down with the leaders of South Korea and the U.S. to discuss denuclearization, as he pledged to do during his recent summit with Kim Jong-un in Pyongyang. Discussions related to the North's denuclearization are expected to be analyzed after U.S. President Donald Trump holds a summit with President Moon Jae-in in Seoul this coming weekend. Japanese media reports that after his summit with Moon, Trump might visit the demilitarized zone and give a speech related to the denuclearization negotiations. President Trump wanted to visit the DMZ in 2017, but the trip was canceled due to the inclement weather conditions. South Korea's presidential office says the DMZ visit has not been confirmed, but it's still coordinating schedules with the U.S. about the trip. 이민선, Arirang News.
Now, the National Assembly is expected to convene a plenary session in the coming hours for Prime Minister Lee Nak-yeon to give a speech on the need for the government's extra budget. Assembly Speaker Moon Hee-sang called last week on the main political parties to reach a deal on the June parliamentary agenda by today, saying deliberations can no longer be delayed. The government submitted the $5.7 billion extra budget bill to the Assembly 2 months ago, but it has remained untouched during the prolonged standstill at the Assembly. While the door is still open for negotiations, the main opposition Liberty Korea Party's schedule today means they won't be in Seoul. The party is sharply against the extra budget, claiming the government and ruling party will use it to win over voters ahead of next year's general elections. For now, it's likely the budget speech will be held without the main opposition party. Now, President Moon Jae-in is inviting Korean War veterans for lunch at the top office today, a day before South Korea marks the 69th anniversary of the outbreak of the conflict. The presidential office says the invitation comes as the top office wants to treat the vets with honor and respect. President Moon is expected to relay his appreciation for their sacrifice and devotion to peace. Some 180 veterans, the defense and Patriots and Veterans Affairs ministers, as well as the commander of U.S. Forces Korea, will join the luncheon. Now we start our world news in Turkey. The unofficial results of the rerun Istanbul mayoral election show the opposition candidate has been victorious once again. For more on this and other news from around the world, let's turn to our Hong Yu. So, Turkey's strongman president did not accept the defeat the first time. How about now?
Well, Mark, the repeat result of Istanbul's mayoral election was again a blow to Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, as the opposition candidate Ekrem İmamoğlu won a clear majority of the vote in Istanbul. İmamoğlu was leading with 54% of the votes, while the governing party's candidate, former Turkish Prime Minister Binali Yildirim, was trailing with 45% in the early returns. Yildirim conceded shortly after the unofficial results were announced. The outcome is a blow to Erdogan, as Istanbul is Turkey's largest city that had been governed by his ruling party AKP for 25 years. And that's why the ruling party contested the results of the first mayoral election held in March 31st, a vote in which İmamoğlu won by a narrow margin. Those results were annulled by the Turkey's electoral board after weeks of partial recounts. The voided vote raised concerns domestically and abroad about the state of Turkish democracy and whether Erdogan's party would accept any electoral loss. İmamoğlu celebrated his victory on Sunday with tens of thousands of people that gathered across Istanbul chanting "Mayor again, Mayor again."
I won't be governing this city by myself. There's no such genius in the world anyway. I will take advantage of everyone and with every sector, regardless of political affiliation.
Because the ruling party still controls 25 of Istanbul's 39 districts and a majority in the municipal assembly, İmamoğlu will need their cooperation to govern the city. Analysts say the change of power will increase pressure on Erdogan's government, which has poorly handled Turkey's economy and international crisis. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence has warned Iran it should not misjudge Washington's intention of calling off a retaliatory military strike against Iran after it downed an American drone. In an interview with CNN on Sunday, Pence said Iran should not mistake restraint for a lack of resolve and emphasized that all options remain on the table. While leaving the door open for dialogue, Pence emphasized Iran can never have a nuclear weapon and they should recognize that. This comes as Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif claimed on Twitter that a different U.S. drone had breached Iranian airspace in late May, despite several warnings. The MQ-9 reconnaissance aircraft, which Tehran accuses of violating Iran's airspace, can also conduct airstrikes. Huawei has filed a civil lawsuit against the U.S. Commerce Department over its alleged mishandling of equipment that was seized from the company in 2017. According to the lawsuit filed last Friday, the U.S. government took possession of equipment which were shipped from an independent testing facility in China. The seizure was made to determine if the technology was subject to export controls. Huawei claims it provided the necessary paperwork and was told such disputes are usually resolved in 45 days. However, 2 years later, Huawei claims the equipment is still stuck in Alaska. Meanwhile, in a separate incident, FedEx said on Sunday that an operational error prevented a Huawei package from being delivered to the U.S. and was mistakenly returned to China. A FedEx spokesperson confirmed the package was U.S. bound, but declined to say what it contained. A year has passed since the miraculous rescue of 12 young Thai football players and their coach after they were trapped in the flooded cave for 18 days. Some of the boys and their coach got together on Sunday to mark the anniversary of their ordeal with a commemorative marathon in northern Thailand. Around 4,000 people took part in the event aimed at raising funds to improve conditions at the Tham Luang Cave complex where the boys were rescued from. 9 of the boys, who looked much taller and older now, ran marathon along with their coach.
Time now for our Life and Info segment, where we focus on information that we do hope will be useful for your everyday life. And we start with a warning for drivers. From Tuesday, South Korea is taking tougher measures on those who drink and drive. The police will launch a 2-month nationwide crackdown from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. when drunk driving accidents are most frequent. Roadside breath tests will be randomly located near entertainment districts, restaurants and car-only slip roads. And once the so-called Yoon Chang-ho law comes into effect, there's a high possibility of round-the-clock breath tests, which mean drivers with hangovers will also be detected. Legal blood alcohol levels have been lowered from 0.05% to 0.03%. Drunk drivers can face up to life in jail for causing death or severe injuries due to an accident. Now, a new study has found that working more than 10 hours a day can increase the risk of having a stroke. According to a French study of over 140,000 people, those who work more than 10 hours a day for at least 50 days a year have a 29% greater risk of stroke. Those who keep up such working hours for 10 years or more have a 45% greater risk. The link was stronger among people under 50 years old. Now, experts suggest the working conditions, irregular schedules and stress that younger workers may face during long working hours might have more of a negative impact on the heart than other factors that typically affect older people, like high blood pressure and being overweight. Now, in the South Korean countryside, relatively close to big cities, you can often find places to pick your own fruit and vegetables, pick your own farms, essentially, where you can pick and choose your own produce and buy it for a much cheaper price than you'd find in a supermarket, that's for sure. Such market benefits both local farmers and consumers alike. Park Se-young with more.
This mulberry farm is located in the suburbs of Suwon, south of Seoul. Residents from nearby apartment complexes come to the farm because they can buy the fruits for half the price if they pick their own produce. Not only do the fruits have a lighter price tag, consumers are able to verify their quality and freshness right before their eyes. The owner of the 1,600 square meter farm is happy too because it saves in the cost of harvesting, packing, and transporting the fruit.
I can't harvest and pack all these mulberries and sell them at the market on my own. When consumers come to harvest their own fruits, they can enjoy cheaper prices and not only to hire workers.
Pick-your-own farms have long been popular in the US and Japan. Now nearly 200 farms across Korea allow customers to pick their own produce. Consumers can buy fresh produce for 30 to 40% cheaper than at the supermarkets, and farms can save on distribution costs.
The new market format is expected to expand with the aging rural population, increase in single-person households, and growing consumer consciousness towards agricultural product safety.
As they benefit both farmers and consumers, pick-your-own farms in Korea are expected to grow in popularity. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Now, the number of South Koreans living alone is rising at a faster clip than anticipated, and the trend is likely to continue even as South Korea's population begins to contract. According to a report by KB Financial Group, the number of single-person households in South Korea surpassed 5.6 million in 2017, some 11% of the total population. It's also higher than the previous estimate of 5.5 million. South Korea's population is forecast to enter a natural decline phase in 2028 due to a steady drop in both the number of marriages and the number of newborn babies. As a result, single-person households are expected to take up 16% of South Korea's population by 2045. Now, South Korea's biggest rice exhibition recently took place right here in Seoul. The event, organised by the South Korean government, aims to find ways to use 500,000 tonnes of excess rice that's currently sitting, being used by no one, in storage. Jo Sung-min reports.
South Korea's biggest exhibition of rice products recently took place for the second straight year in Seoul. As expected, stations with rice noodles and rice wine drew large crowds, but the most popular goods were snacks ranging from rice cakes to pastries. A local firm showcased colorful rice cake doughs, which, according to the developers, never dry out. These easily nettable doughs take just few seconds to turn into rice cakes in whatever shape a buyer wants.
These bite-sized rice cakes are so cute, and they could come handy whenever you're expecting a guest.
The South Korean government organized a fair to come up with ideas to use leftover rice. According to data, more than 500,000 tons of unconsumed rice is sitting in storage. The biggest difference at this year's fair compared to last year's was the increase in the number of ready-to-serve healthy products that were displayed. Vendors are clearly embracing the ideas of health conscience and convenience by making rice products to accommodate what many consumers want. Agricultural experts say they expect the new products will contribute to solving some of the problem caused by the oversupply of rice.
It's the researchers' duty to continue developing various types of processed foods, including ones that can be eaten outdoors and ones for single-person households.
The Rural Development Administration said it hopes to hold more exhibitions in the near future to encourage private firms to engage in finding solutions to the oversupply of rice. Jo Sung-min, Arirang News.
South Korea is celebrating the 10th anniversary of its royal tombs from the Joseon Dynasty being recognized as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Kan Hyung-woo with the details.
Collecting stamps to learn about the kings and queens of the Joseon Dynasty's 500-year-long history and receive small gifts. This is one of the programs the Cultural Heritage Foundation has put together to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the royal tombs being designated as UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
This is called the King's Way. The path was used for the royal ancestral ceremony by the kings of the Joseon Dynasty. Visitors can walk along the path and experience how the Joseon royalty used to honor their ancestors.
The government has prepared several events, such as a special photo exhibition, commemorative ceremony, and scholarly forum. But it's looking to attract the public with more hands-on activities.
From this point on, we will focus on organizing more hands-on and enjoyable programs and events for the public so that people can feel closer to the cultural heritage of the royal tombs.
South Korea has been focusing on restoring and preserving the royal tombs of the Joseon Dynasty since they were designated as UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Sites in June 2009 for their historical value, cultural importance, and scenic beauty.
The pine trees over at the Gangnam Royal Tomb are quite amazing, but I feel like not many people know about it. So I wish more people would come to see the sites and enjoy the nature here.
It's really peaceful. I'm here to just kind of see what it's about and the history behind it. And it's fairly pretty as well with all the nature and the architecture.
All 40 of the royal Joseon tombs will be open to the public for free on June 30th, the last day of the celebration period. 간영우, Arirang News.
Good morning. It's shaping up to be another hot one under sunny skies. Many regions will see highs topping above 30 degrees Celsius this afternoon. In fact, a heat wave advisory has been issued in parts of Gyeonggi-do province, including Gwangju-si. And Seoul will also be hot with highs going up to 31 degrees. Daegu should also notice a big rise in temperatures by this afternoon. Daejeon and Chuncheon will hit 31 degrees. Now, due to atmospheric instability, some inland regions will have passing showers with 5 to 30 millimeters of rain expected. But despite the showers, strong UV rays will shine down on us. So expect an extremely high UV index today for some regions, and that's including here in the capital. Extra protection is needed. Be careful if you have to spend a lot of time outside this afternoon. But the heat wave will be short-lived as monsoon season starts this week in Korea's southern parts of the country. Rain and dark clouds should pull down the daily highs. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
Well, that's all the news and weather we have for now on this Monday morning here in Seoul. Stay tuned to Arirang TV, and a reminder that our next newscast is coming up at noon Korea time in around an hour and a half from now. So until then, goodbye.